Welcome back to Inside City Hall. Harlem Educational Activities Fund is a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing motivated and above grade level students with supplemental education and activities to help them succeed. It's a wonderful program. I spent a big part of my last weekend there looking at the kids and talking with some of them, and they were doing great stuff. You got to hear about this. Joining us tonight is Danielle Moss. She's the President and Chief Executive Officer of HEAF, as it is known. She's going to tell us more about the program. And you weren't there during my little self-guided tour, but I was very, very impressed. It was a bright, sunny Saturday, and dozens of kids just kind of studying French and working on computers and doing all kinds of stuff. Is that what goes on there? Great. I'm glad you had a good visit, and basically that's who we are. That's what we do. And what's the idea here? I mean, the kids are, this is after school and on weekends. And during the summer. And during the summer, okay. And this is all with the aim of those spectacular numbers I want you to tell us about. Right, so the students we target are on or above grade level. Many of them are on grade level in English language arts, but struggling more so in math and science in particular. They're kids who we consider to be the forgotten middle. Students who are not necessarily in need of intense remediation, but who would not be categorized as gifted and therefore have access to some of the more rigorous opportunities for high school in the city. And so those kids in the forgotten middle, they come to your program, and everything I saw on almost every available space of wall seemed to be oriented toward getting them in and through college. Absolutely. And so we start with our kids in middle school, and the idea is to build a college-going community, a college-going culture among students and their parents, so that the question is, where will you go to college, not will you go to college? And after they leave your program, or after they graduate from high school, the percentage who are finishing college is some astoundingly high number. About 93% of our students graduate with a bachelor's in 6 years or less. About 67% of those students finish in 4 years. And then there are those who go on beyond that, right? Who go beyond a bachelor's degree? 35% of our college graduates go on to get a master's degree or more, which compares with about 11% of all college graduates in America. Yeah, that's the number that bowled me over. And to go and just see it just operating there quietly, and you've been around for a long time now. The organization has been around for 22 years, and I've been there for about 8. And it's free and available right there in the Hotel Teresa. It is. It is. Fantastic. Now, when you hear the debates that are going on about education, where there's all the talk about kids not getting through high school, and we recently had the chancellor of the state education system tell us what they found, which is that about 23% of kids are actually ready for college work, and the others, the vast majority, in fact, are not after they go through high school. What's missing? What's the system missing? I mean, I think we do a lot more talking than doing. So I think that's one of the first obstacles. I think also that one of the things we recognized at HEAF is that education is not something you do to young people. You engage them in their own liberation by getting their insight and input into curriculum development. A lot of the classes that you saw last Saturday were recommended by students. Our students have an opportunity to rate their teachers. Everybody who works in programs on my staff gets an annual student report card to talk about how they're developing relationships and engaging young people. And I think we also spend an inordinate amount of time developing the social and emotional skills and toolkit that young people will need to be resilient, you know, to move past the obstacles that will necessarily come with going away to college. Wow. Well, I saw one class of kids, and I was having little flashbacks. They were grinding it out with a French teacher, try to sort out that foreign language, and then some of them were doing some computer work. But one of the most impressive sights were the letters on the walls, and these are the acceptance letters from all kinds of schools. And so it seems to be working. They're applying, and they're getting into. I saw letters from Yale and Carnegie Mellon and Stanford and MIT and really top flight schools.
Yes, lots of our kids do go on to the most competitive colleges in the country. Lots of our kids go to SUNYs and CUNYs. The idea is to make sure that kids are emotionally and academically equipped to get a 4-year degree, because we know that that impacts lifetime earnings by about $1 million. And we're talking about college, doing college tours from the time the kids are 11. Some campus admissions folks have said that 11 is a little bit too early for them to be hosting students. And what I say is that, you know, my daughter got her first college t-shirt from my alma mater when she was an infant. And that's messaging. You know, taking your kids back to your reunion weekends, that's messaging about what's expected. And so we're, you know, thrilled that we have college students at campuses all around the country that we can take our younger students to visit and say, you know what, these are the same kids who live on 142nd Street in Lenox just like you do. And they're on these campuses and they're thriving and they're making a choice.
And are the majority of the kids from uptown, from Harlem?
The majority of our kids are from Harlem and Washington Heights, though we do have more of our students moving out to Brooklyn and the Bronx with the gentrification and the changing housing stock in the neighborhood.
I suspect you're going to get a lot of parents calling you up and sending their kids your way after they see this, because it really is, again, an extraordinary program. How do people apply?
So the best way to get application information is to go to our website, www.heaf.org, and enter your information and you know, share your interest in the program and have someone call you, or you know, just call the office 212-663-9732. We'll be happy to mail an application. And
it looked effortless for me as a casual visitor, but I imagine that some of this high expectation stuff involves a little bit of tough love at points.
It definitely does. I think one of the biggest misconceptions that we face as an organization is that, oh, your kids are on grade level, you know, they're kind of taken care of. I think some of the recent data that's come out of New York State says that even those kids who we thought were on grade level are going to need a lot more support in order to be college ready.
Sure.
And so, you know, there are a lot of learning gaps that come with kids who may be strong in some areas and weaker in others. But the idea is that if you are intentional, you know, we're not a drop-in after-school program. It's not accidental. We spend a lot of time on professional development. We bring in higher education partners to work with us in that area. We review the curriculum. We ask teachers for their input. We're constantly refining and revising what we're doing to make sure that it's impactful and relevant. And so it looks effortless, but there are lots of, you know, kind of discussion and planning that goes into that.
There was a great rapport between the kids and the instructors. Who were those young people? They seem very young, the instructors that I saw.
So you might have seen some of our high school students, because giving back is a big part of that. We also draw a lot of our teachers from the public school system. You know, young, bright, vibrant teachers who want an opportunity to kind of try something different and step out of the box. You know, we have a high school science teacher who teaches our robotics class every summer. That's not something that's being offered at the school where he's, you know, mainly employed, but it gives him an opportunity to kind of flex his instructional muscles as well.
I saw that you had things like drama class. How does that help with the mission of getting kids ready and into college?
I mean, I think any activity that kind of gets kids to think critically, to practice their public speaking and presentation skills, to build confidence, all of that contributes to success in college. We don't want our kids to kind of go to college with the sense that, boy, isn't it great they let us in. We want them to go knowing that they deserve to be there and that they've rightfully earned their spots on those campuses.
Sure. I saw just a ton of little motivational messages, you know, the 5 things you have to always keep in mind for this or for that. And it included things that were surprisingly mature, I thought. I mean, nobody ever taught me, all the way through college, frankly, to be organized and be prepared and have my work ready and take competitive classes and some of the other things that you are telling these kids from a very young age.
Right. I mean that comes from our keeping our ears low to the ground in terms of what a college professors wish their students could do. You know, they want them to be organized. Lots of really smart people are not great students because they don't know how to organize themselves. I can say for myself, you know, I was a good student in high school. I didn't have to work as hard as I probably could have to get the grades that I got. And going to a college like the one that I attended was in some ways a wake-up call.
You went to Barnard.
I went to Swarthmore. And so, you know, they wanted, it was a completely different ball game. And so I had to kind of learn some of those organizational skills and time management skills that I hadn't mastered in high school because things were a little bit easier for me.
How scalable is this? By that I mean, how far could this go? You're seeing a few hundred kids at a time, and over 20 years that starts to add up. Is this the kind of program that could serve thousands and thousands of kids at a time?
I absolutely think this is a program that could serve thousands and thousands of kids. I think one of the things that we have mastered as an organization is really leveraging community resources to the benefit of our students. So we have a group of Columbia students who come in and volunteer with our kids on a regular basis. We have community volunteers who volunteer on a regular basis. There's a lot that goes into supplementing what's available in the public schools that's really about just harnessing the resources that are right there for us already.
And you do this on a fairly small budget, actually. I mean, to be doing as much as you do for hundreds and hundreds of kids for less than $3 million a year or thereabouts is a lot of work.
And you know, that goes back to my point about, you know, being able to do a joint grant with Barnard College to bring the liberal arts to our public school students. You know, being able to leverage resources in that way and getting people to really think about what is community. And schools are a part of the community, but there are all kinds of people and institutions and communities who want to get involved in public education and don't know what their entree is.
And you're doing a lot of this with, or almost entirely with private sector or charitable money.
Right.
Not city contracts. Do you have a relationship with the Department of Education? Are they crawling all over your program and trying to set it up in every school district in the city?
No, we don't have a formal relationship with the DOE. I've met with various folks at the DOE over the years, but the players change a lot. But, you know, we're steady as we go.
Okay.
And I hope they call.
They change names downtown and you keep finding success uptown. Good for you. Oh, listen, thanks so much for talking with us. I hope a lot of people have been enlightened and will look at your website, look at your materials, and start making sense.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay.